Discover the miraculous angel guarding the ark, unveiling divine secrets behind battles with giant walls. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the Lord spoke to his servant Joshua, who had been appointed to lead the Israelites into the promised land. A heavy weight rested upon him as he stood before the towering walls of Jericho, a city fortified and formidable. The sun began to set, casting long shadows over the ground, as an unsettling silence enveloped the encampment, broken only by the distant murmurs echoing from within Jericho's walls. Israel's hearts stirred with a mix of hope and trepidation, each soul aware that a pivotal moment lay ahead. Joshua, a faithful servant of God, stepped beyond the city gates to dedicate himself to prayer, seeking divine wisdom and guidance. His voice rose in earnest supplication, the fervency of his heart ascending like fragrant incense to the Lord. In that sacred space, enveloped by the quiet of impending battle, a sudden awareness jolted him. He felt the piercing gaze of a figure nearby, clad in shining armor and brandishing a gleaming sword. This presence was both intimidating and awe-inspiring. "Are you for us or for our adversaries?" Joshua asked boldly, a deep yearning for understanding in his voice. The response that echoed back gripped Joshua's heart with a profound reverence. "No, but I am the commander of the army of the Lord. Now I have come." The weight of divine authority in those words was a tangible force, transforming his apprehension into reverence. He fell to the ground, recognizing that this was no ordinary visitor but a celestial being sent from heaven. The angel revealed a strategy that defied all earthly wisdom. March around the city once for 6 days, and on the 7th day, march around it 7 times in silence. Then, give a great shout. A whirlwind of emotions enveloped Joshua as he contemplated this divine plan. How could such an unorthodox method bring victory against such imposing walls? Doubt crept into his heart, threatening his resolve. Yet, within the depths of his soul, the unshakable promise of God ignited a fire of faith. The covenant with the Lord was their bedrock, and he knew he must rally his people to trust in this holy instruction. As the days passed, Joshua led the Israelites around Jericho, their faith tested with each silent march. The fortified city loomed before them, imposing and seemingly impervious. Whispers of doubt rippled through the ranks. "What if this plan fails?" murmured one soldier to another, his voice a brittle thread of uncertainty. Yet, amidst these shadows, flickers of faith shone brightly, a remnant of believers who still dared to trust God's promise. Finally, the 7th day dawned, charged with sacred anticipation. Tension thickened the air as the Israelites gathered, hearts pounding together like one. At Joshua's command, the trumpets sounded, piercing through the stillness, a divine signal that resonated with heaven and earth alike. "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city," he proclaimed, the conviction in his voice igniting a fervor within the people. Would their faith yield the reward? Would the walls of Jericho bow before them as promised? The moment hung in suspense, the promised miracle looming just beyond the horizon. All eyes were turned toward the grand walls, hearts united in expectation, as the people prepared to cement their belief with a resounding shout that would shake the heavens and stir the very foundations of earth, awaiting the Lord's wondrous purpose to manifest. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As they stood poised for a miraculous outcome, the silence of divine stillness surrounded them, every breath held in reverence. Under the watchful gaze of heaven, faith ignited within, yearning to witness the unfolding of God's plan. The question reverberated in their hearts: how would the divine commander guide them through this sacred act of obedience? As the moment of expectation reached its zenith, the hearts of the Israelites thumped like the rhythm of 1,000 drums, resonating with the gravity of their shared faith. The sun shone brightly, casting a divine light upon the assembly, as Joshua raised his hand, signaling the moment they had been waiting for. "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." His voice thundered above the stillness, and the air crackled with the electric charge of holy anticipation as the Israelites erupted in a mighty roar. Their combined shouts filled the heavens, echoing against the ancient stones of Jericho, a sound so powerful that it seemed to reach the very throne of God. As the sound reverberated, a tremor began to quake through the ground beneath their feet. The walls of Jericho, strong and towering, shuddered as if the very fabric of the world had been rent by the fervent faith of God's chosen people. And then, as if orchestrated by the hand of the Almighty, the walls began to crumble. Stones fell one after another, creating a cacophony that contrasted sharply with the triumphant shouts echoing from the lips of Israel. In that moment of divine intervention, the armor-clad figure that had appeared to Joshua earlier observed from above, a celestial witness to the profound act of faith being rewarded. The commander of the Lord's army, a warrior not simply of flesh and blood, but of divine might and purpose, stood firm in the heavenly realms, affirming God's covenant promise to his people. Victory surged through the hearts of the Israelites as they witnessed the impossible becoming reality, fulfilling the words spoken to them through their leader. They rushed forward, embodying the very essence of their faith, surging past the remnants of the fallen wall, knowing that through obedience to the Lord, deliverance had surely come. But amidst the chaos of triumph, a whisper began to spread throughout the ranks. "Where is Rahab the harlot, the woman of faith?" The elders spoke in hushed tones, recalling the promise made to the one who had sheltered the spies, a pledge of mercy amid impending judgment upon Jericho. Joshua, recalling the words of the spies, turned to his men. "Confirm her safety. Let none forget the grace extended to her and her household." As the dust settled, the Israelites searched the ruins, calling out for Rahab and her family, their voices a mixture of urgency and hope. From amongst the rubble, the crimson cord that had marked her dwelling still dangled, a symbol of salvation woven through divine mercy. With joyful hearts, the men of Israel found her, and before long, the family that had once been outside the covenant gathered with the people of God. In that sacred moment of reconciliation, God's sovereign plan unfurled further. They could see that he had not only delivered the city into their hands but also intertwined the fates of the faithful with the lineage of Israel. Joy and gratitude filled the camp as Joshua celebrated the victory, but in the depths of his spirit, he sensed that God had yet more to reveal. As the people returned to their camp, jubilance rippling through their hearts, a stillness echoed back in Joshua's soul, a holy anticipation for the unfolding of God's greater will. What awaited them on this journey? What further wonders lay ahead? Questions burned in the minds of the Israelites as they witnessed God's faithfulness, igniting a yearning for deeper understanding. Little did they know, the conquest of Jericho was merely the beginning, and God's sovereign hand was moving to fulfill an even grander purpose among his people, one that would resonate through generations. Joshua contemplated the mystery of it all, aware that the voice of the Lord continued to beckon them forward. The story of their faith would deepen as they marched, not only towards victory but towards a destiny woven intricately within the tapestry of eternity's design. As dawn broke upon the horizon, the Israelite camp was aglow with the light of a new day. The air was filled with a sweet fragrance of burnt offerings, a testament to their gratitude for the great victory the Lord had bestowed upon them. Joshua, filled with reverence, sought the presence of the Lord early in the morning, knowing that strength for the challenges ahead lay in communion with the Almighty. "Lord, guide us," he prayed fervently, seeking divine insight for their next steps. For though Jericho had fallen, the land of Canaan held many fortified cities yet to conquer, standing like mountains of doubt against their faith. As he poured out his heart, the voice of God rang clear, reverberating with promise and authority. "I will be with you, and as I was with Moses, so I shall be with you. Every place that the sole of your foot treads upon, I have given to you." Joshua 1 verse 3. Renewed in spirit, Joshua gathered the leaders of Israel and conveyed the Lord's command. sharing the divine assurances with them. With newfound determination, they prepared for the next phase of this monumental journey. The sound of hammers and axes echoed as they refurbished their weapons and repaired their provisions. The people's minds were set not only on conquest but on the promise that their faithfulness would bring forth the blessings of God. Days passed as they journeyed deeper into the land, each day marked by the remembrance of their deliverance and the fearful reverence of the cities that loomed ahead. They approached the fortified city of Ai, led by the Spirit of the Lord. "This city shall be ours," Joshua proclaimed. "We shall send spies to assess the strength of our enemy." As they ventured forth, the spies returned, confident and bold. "Surely we shall prevail. The people of Ai are but few." With pride swelling within them, Joshua and the leaders decided on an approach that would showcase God's might. Yet, unbeknownst to Joshua, a shadow loomed over their decision, for in the heart of their camp, a hidden sin had entered, leading to a grave oversight. Achan, son of Carmi, had taken the devoted things from Jericho, defying the Lord's command. He saw gold and silver, treasures meant for God, and allowed greed to eclipse his faith. As the days of preparation continued, the wrath of God kindled against Israel, dimming the light of hope over their future endeavors. The day of battle arrived, and confidence surged within the Israelites as they pressed towards Ai. Yet, to their shock, they were met with fierce resistance and overwhelming defeat. Panic rippled through the ranks as many fell, and the hearts of Israel plummeted into despair. Joshua, his face to the ground, cried out to the Lord, anguish evident in his voice. "O Lord, why have you brought us this far only to fall before our enemies?" The Lord's reply came with clarity, piercing the despair that clouded Joshua's heart. "Get up, why have you fallen on your face? Israel has sinned. They have transgressed the covenant. There is sin in the camp." Joshua 7 verses 10 to 11. As Joshua listened, his pulse quickened. The weight of their collective failure pressed down upon him. He understood now that their victory was inexorably linked to their obedience. With this revelation stoking the fires of holy urgency, Joshua called the people together to confront the sin that lurked among them, aware now that their destiny was at stake. In the trembling silence that followed, the unfolding mystery of God's plan revealed itself, igniting both fear and awe in the hearts of the Israelites. Would they heed the Lord's directions, cleanse the sin from their midst, and once again find favor? Or would their fate be sealed under the shadows of unconfessed transgression? As Joshua stood before them, the sacred tensions hung in the air, for the next steps would determine not only their future battles but the lineage of their faith, laid out by divine decree. The cutting truth loomed before them, a divine reckoning waiting on the horizon of hope. What decisions would they make, and what might their obedience forge in the heart of the covenant? Joshua rose from the ground, the weight of his grief heavy upon him. "Let us search out the sin in our midst," he commanded, his voice resonating with determination. The elders of Israel gathered, their faces marked by apprehension. Yet the call to holiness stirred a glimmer of hope within their hearts. The people gathered in the clearing, and one by one, families were presented before Joshua. Nations had grown weary from the echoes of defeat, and among them still lingered the unconfessed betrayal. The sacred lots fell before the tribe of Judah, then to the clan of the Zarites, finally resting upon the house of Achan. Silence gripped the crowd, anticipation weaving through their ranks like a whisper of dread. "Give glory to the Lord of Israel," Joshua entreated, locking eyes with Achan. "Confess your sin and do not hide it from us." Achan trembled, his heart racing, for the truth weighed heavily upon him. "Indeed, I have sinned against the Lord. I saw among the spoils a beautiful garment from Shinar, and 200 shekels of silver, and a bar of gold weighing 50 shekels. I coveted them, and I took them." As he spoke, he revealed the hidden treasures within his tent, their glimmer condescending to the earth like a bitter promise. A gasp spread through the assembly, a tide of sorrow mixed with indignation. Joshua's heart sank deeper, recognizing the extent of the breach against covenantal trust. Achan's sin had brought God's wrath upon them, Their defeat was not merely the loss of a battle, but the manifestation of a broken chain in their holy calling. "Why have you troubled us?" Joshua murmured, understanding the gravity of personal transgressions against the collective. The weight of the covenant now begged for restoration. Now we must deal with this sin. They led Achan and his possessions to the valley of Achor, a place that would forever carry the memory of disgrace. "You shall be stones of judgment upon this day," he declared, "for you have brought ruin upon Israel." As they stoned Achan, a dreadful silence enveloped the camp. The cries of anguish, both for Achan and the loss of fellowship with God, echoed through the valley. Yet, within that pain, the hand of the Lord was at work, promising that from calamity could spring forth redemption. Afterward, the Lord spoke to Joshua once more. "Do not fear, for I have turned my face toward you again. Arise, go up to Ai, for I have delivered it into your hands." Joshua 8 verse 1. With this divine assurance, Joshua led the people forward, now armed not just with swords but with the solemnity of restored holiness. As they approached Ai once more, a strategy unfolded, filled with miraculous potential. They set an ambush behind the city, trusting in the timeless Lord whose covenant had promised victory as long as their hearts remained true. As dusk fell over the horizon, casting long shadows upon the land, Joshua stood firm, lifting his voice in praise. "The battle is the Lord's, and we shall know his glory." He turned his gaze skyward, sensing a presence unseen, a divine guard over them, feeling the breath of the holy angels mingling in the air like a sacred promise yet unfulfilled. Then, amidst the clamor and chaos of the battle, a prophecy was ignited, a plan more expansive than the conquest of cities lay ahead. "Who shall rise from the ashes of ruin to forge a path, stirring the hearts for revival?" The winds of heaven heralded something greater, and the hearts of Israel beat with anticipation, awaiting the fulfillment of God's unfolding story. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow upon the battleground, Joshua's heart swelled with courage and expectation. He had received the word of the Lord, and his spirit brimmed with hope. The ambush around Ai was set, and now it was time to witness the hand of God move in might. With a rallying cry that echoed through the mountains, Joshua commanded his warriors, "Draw near, for the Lord has delivered our enemies into our hands. Stand fast in faith, for today we reclaim what was lost." The warriors of Israel, emboldened by the assurance of their leader, prepared themselves, not just as soldiers of flesh and blood, but as instruments of divine justice. The ruse commenced as the morning light broke, illuminating the walls of Ai. The men set fire to their camp, creating chaos that disguised their approach. As the king of Ai looked upon the smoke rising, he was deceived, thinking the Israelites were in full retreat once more. Yet, under the cloak of confusion, Joshua extended his spear toward the city, a signal of divine intervention. Suddenly, the ambush sprung to life. The Israelite soldiers poured forth from behind the city, surrounding Ai, sealing its fate. A great shout arose from the people as they surged forth, infused with the glory of the Most High. The air crackled with anticipation, as the cries of valor mingled with the roar of the wind. God's assurance filled Joshua with a profound wonder, sharper than the swords they wielded. In the midst of the tumult, as victory swung in their favor, something remarkable occurred. The leaders of Israel spotted beneath the cloud of chaos an ethereal host, unfolding toward the earth, bearing the Ark of the Covenant. These angelic beings, radiant with a light that could pierce the heart of darkness, accompanied the Ark, the embodiment of God's presence. A hush fell over the battlefield as the soldiers beheld the miraculous sight, their eyes wide with awe. The Ark bore the promise of his covenant, reminding them that they were not just fighting for land, but for the very presence of God among them. Joshua raised his voice, proclaiming, "Look, the Lord of hosts fights for us." The truth flooded his heart. Although they marched into battle, it was the Lord who was their true commander. Each step forward resonated with the faithfulness of God, and the enemy faltered as the sound of divine support echoed in their ears. As they overcame the fortified city, the air filled with the rich aroma of preservation. It was the aroma of acceptance of their sacrifices. But as the echoes of triumph filled the valleys, Joshua's heart stirred with understanding of a greater plan. The Lord had promised the land to his people, but warned of the consequences of disobedience. The path forward weighed with responsibility, a call to lead others in holiness. So what lies beyond this conquest? Joshua mused, his mind searching the depths of divine mystery. He sensed that the victories won today would lay the foundation for a legacy unlike any before. The battle was fierce, but greater oppressions loomed, bigger than what they could see. In those moments of fiery fervor, as they gathered their spoils and celebrated through the streets of Ai, a prophecy began to whisper through the multitude. A figure would arise from among them, a leader who would bring forth an enduring revival. What great work of restoration could God be preparing when his people walk in covenant? How was the line of promise beginning to unfurl through their victories? The winds of heaven bore witness to a future far grander than they had perceived, drawing the hearts of Israel into a storyline of redemption that would shake the earth and echo in eternity. Thus, with the battle won and the ark secured, the unfolding of God's sovereign plan breathed its mystery. Who shall rise to inherit the blessings designed from the very foundation of the world? The defeat of Ai resounded through the valleys, and Israel stood as victors. Yet the heart of Joshua remained unsettled, seeking direction from the Lord. As twilight settled over the land, with shadows lengthening across the ground, he gathered the leaders of the tribes, hoping to impart the urgency of obedience to God's commands. His soul was stirred. The unimaginable had occurred, yet the sanctity of the covenant demanded their walk in righteousness. Brothers, let us not forget, Joshua began, his voice firm yet filled with tenderness. The Lord has delivered us this day, but we must remain vigilant and true to his statutes. The spoils of this battle are but a shadow of the greater promise which befalls us if we abide by his word. With solemn hearts, they listened as he recounted the admonitions given by Moses, that they should be a holy people, set apart and dedicated to the Lord. Remember, Joshua continued, we are his witness before the nations. All things hidden are brought into the light, our victories, our downfalls, and the integrity of our hearts. As he spoke, the men of Israel nodded solemnly, wrestling with the concept of divine accountability. It was then that they heard a whisper on the wind, soft yet weighty, drawing their hearts into a realm of divine contemplation. The whispers of prophecy continued to linger around them, echoing through the encampment. Joshua then turned toward the Ark of the Covenant, which stood gleaming beneath the evening star. Is there not more to this day? Could it be that God has set forth a path beyond today's conquest? With the Ark among us, we are not just reclaimers of land, but bearers of his presence in the midst of a broken world. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled lightly, as if answering the call of the Almighty. A reverence washed over the people, as they beheld a shimmer of light from the direction of the ark, dancing like flame yet consuming, not a holy manifestation of his glory which surely heralded his presence. In that moment, a mighty wind swept across the camp, carrying the scent of fresh rain mixed with myrrh and frankincense. The air was electric, infused with the expectancy of divine revelation, and they awaited, hearts pounding with awe. Be still, Joshua commanded, raising his arms toward heaven. For the presence of the Lord is here. As a dim radiance took form within the light, they discerned figures, angels, robed in brilliance, their wings unfurling as if to shield the ark in a sacred embrace. Their ethereal faces glowed with a holiness that struck the very essence of fear and faith into the hearts of the beholders. The people fell to their faces in reverence, overwhelmed by the unfolding vision. Lo, the hosts of heaven guard the testimony of his covenant, Joshua declared, his voice rising with passion. Let us heed their call to purity and remain steadfast in our mission. For as we walk in holiness, our battles shall reflect not just our strength, but the splendor of his promise. The light flickered, as if in acknowledgement of Joshua's fervor, signaling a mystery yet unveiled a window into a divine plan that exceeded their understanding. As the night deepened, uncertainty mingled with hope. How was God preparing his people for further trials and triumphs ahead? With hearts awakening to divine purpose amidst celestial spectators, Joshua vowed to lead Israel into deeper faithfulness. A great work of restoration lies just beyond the horizon. He spoke softly, yet stirringly. We must prepare our hearts, for the time shall come when we are called to obey the voice of the one who reigns, in a greater test than this. And as Joshua knelt before the ark, the heavens seemed to open just a little wider. The question hung in the air, who would rise to fulfill the promises stitched into the very fabric of their covenant. The sovereign plan of the Lord loomed over Israel, whispering of a future far more profound than the present battles they faced. As the dawn's golden light broke over the camp, a profound stillness enveloped the people of Israel. Hearts remained heavy with anticipation, for the celestial spectacle of last night echoed in their souls like a sacred hymn. Joshua, rising from his prayerful kneeling, felt the weight of the Lord's presence still lingering over them. He knew that the promise of God was as tangible as the air they breathed, yet the path ahead shimmered with uncertainty. "Prepare yourselves," Joshua proclaimed, his voice unwavering, "for this day marks not only a victory but a call to holiness. We shall move forth in faith, for the Lord has spoken of his plans." The leaders leaned in, eager for direction, their minds racing to grasp the fullness of divine intentions. "Take heed, O Israel!" Joshua lifted the law given to Moses, its tablets etched with heavenly commands. "For the Almighty desires our surrender and obedience. In his statutes lie our life and our protection. We must not only conquer land but cleanse our hearts of all that defile, lest we fall as dust before our enemies." As he spoke, a murmur rippled through the camp. The people exchanged glances, pondering their past missteps, the fallen walls of Jericho, and the cursed spoils of Ai. Each reflection served as a reminder of their covenant relationship with the Lord, demanding the utmost sincerity. In the wake of Joshua's words, a messenger arrived, breathless from his journey. "Commander, I bring urgency from the very lips of God. He has commanded you to assemble the people and reveal his decree." The leader's brow furrowed deeply, a signal for silence. With a heart afire with divine purpose, Joshua summoned the tribes. As they gathered, the sun began to rise higher, illuminating the ark where angels vigilantly stood guard. The very air crackled with divine energy. It was as though heaven leaned closer, weaving the very fabric of earth and spirit together. "Listen, O people of Israel," Joshua spoke, his voice firm, laden with the weight of destiny. "The Lord has laid before us a path that is both beautiful and fearful. He will deliver Jericho into our hands, but we must utterly devote its inhabitants to destruction. No spoil shall be taken, for the city is consecrated unto the Lord." A hush fell upon the assembly, an awe-filled reverence blanketing them as they contemplated the profound command. The act of destruction called for unwavering faith, trust that God alone was sovereign over all. Whispers of disbelief flickered amongst somewhat of the riches. The spoils of conquest danced before their eyes, but their hearts echoed Joshua's call for purity. "Let us do according to all that the Lord has commanded." They resounded in unified voice, courage igniting within, as we march forward in the shadow of the Almighty. As the people made ready their hearts, minds, and bodies for the coming battle, the ground shuddered once more, and the brilliance of the light surrounding the ark flared brightly. The voice of the Lord rang forth, shaking their very beings. "I am with you, as I was with Moses. Have I not commanded you to be strong and of good courage?" In that sacred moment, the atmosphere thickened with anticipation. The understanding rippled through the congregation that they were part of an unfolding divine narrative that could change not only their lives but the course of nations. "Watch and see," Joshua murmured, "for the Lord is preparing us for a demonstration of his power, a miracle that will resound throughout the ages." Thus, they sought to honor him with unwavering faith, and as they moved to fulfill the Lord's command, a divine mystery loomed ahead, beckoning them to trust in what their eyes had yet to see, a conquest that would reveal God's sovereign plan intricately woven with threads of human obedience and celestial wonder. What awaited them beyond Jericho, where faith and divine light intersected, became a question that would define their journey. As the morning sun poured its light upon the camp, Illuminating the fervent faces of Israel, Joshua led the people forth, their hearts resolute in their commitment to the Lord's decrees. The Ark of the Covenant, with its sacred presence, moved at the forefront, guiding them into the unknown. "March, O children of Israel," Joshua commanded, and with faith ignited like a flame, they took their first steps towards the walls of Jericho that loomed before them solid and imposing. The air vibrated with a tension that was both fearful and exhilarating, for they were not merely warriors but bearers of a holy task. "Prepare the trumpets," Joshua called to the priests, "for we shall sound the praises of our God, who brings down the mighty by his strength." As the priests positioned themselves, Joshua recalled the words of the Lord, "You shall march around the city, all the men of war going around the city once. Thus shall you do for 6 days." He felt the weight of this command echoing in his spirit, reminding him of the necessity of obedience united with faith. The first day unfurled invisibly, an act of trust woven into the fabric of the battle plan. The mighty men of valor encircled the city, their feet creating a rhythm of resolve against the hardened ground. Each pass was met with watchful eyes from the walls. Whispers of mockery floated down to them, yet the hearts of Israel held steadfast. On the 6th day, as light dappling through the olive trees heralded another sacred dawn, Joshua instructed the people again. "We shall go around the city 7 times today, and at the end we shall give a great shout unto the Lord." The people gathered their strength anew, waves of anticipation washing over them. On the 7th lap, when they had completed their course, Joshua raised his voice like a trumpet. "Now, shout, for the Lord has given you the city." A sound erupted from their throats, a chorus of faithful cries that pierced the heavens, echoing through the valleys. At that moment, the earth itself trembled, as if responding to the faith of God's people. And the walls of Jericho, formidable and unyielding, began to shake. As the dust swirled, and the cacophony of voices mingled with the rumbling earth, the walls crumbled with miraculous precision, collapsing inward, revealing the path to victory. The people surged forward, not as conquerors of mere stone, but as instruments of divine justice and covenant fulfillment. Yet amidst this victory, the heart of Joshua was heavy with the understanding of God's holiness. He had commanded not just the spoiling of riches, but the complete devotion of the city to him. "Go forth," he commanded, "and let none be spared but Rahab and her family, for she believed in the God of Israel." And as the people celebrated, their hearts resonating with awe at God's might, a profound silence enveloped the camp once more. Joshua ascended to the ruins of Jericho, his heart lifting in worship. "Great are you, O Lord, for your faithfulness endures forever." In this act, we feel the pulse of your plan, a plan that stretches beyond our understanding and connects to the redemption of nations. Yet even in victory, a divine mystery lingered, whispering in the winds of heaven. Would Israel remain steadfast amidst future trials? What other works would God unveil through those who danced with obedience? The story of Jericho was but a prelude, a tantalizing glimpse into the unfolding narrative of God's redemptive plan that awaited them all, tethered to hearts willing to follow him against all odds. Little did they know, the most significant journeys often lie beyond the apparent victories, where true faith must brave the unseen depths of his everlasting purpose. As the dust settled upon the ruins of Jericho, the sounds of victory began to wane, leaving a silence that echoed within the hearts of the Israelites. They stood in awe, gazing at the once mighty walls that now lay as rubble at their feet. The Lord had delivered their enemies into their hands, and yet, in that sacred moment, a revelation whispered through the hearts of the faithful. Joshua, moved by the solemnity of the victory and the weight of God's command, summoned the elders and leaders of the tribes. "Gather, O children of Israel," he proclaimed, his voice resonant with authority. "For we must consecrate this victory unto the Lord. What has transpired here shall serve as a testament to his power and a reminder to us of our covenant." The tribes came forth, each one bearing the symbols of their lineage, their hearts swelling with pride and piety. As they assembled, the priests began to prepare the offerings of thanksgiving, and the air filled with the fragrance of sacrifice, wafting unto the heavens, an aroma of homage to the God who fights for his people. In our triumph, let us not grow complacent, Joshua continued with fervor. Witness the fulfillment of the Lord's promise as seen in his mighty acts. For as he has said, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God goes with you wherever you go. Joshua 1 verse 9. Let this embolden your hearts for the trials yet to come. The people nodded in unison, their faith ignited anew. Yet, amidst the fervor, a shadow of hesitation flickered in the depths of Joshua's heart. The echoes of their victory beckoned the thought of their next venture. Would they, in their newfound strength, falter against temptations yet unknown? That very night, as stars twinkled in the expanse above, Joshua withdrew to a solitary place for prayer. The moon cast a pale glow upon him as he knelt in the dust, seeking wisdom from the Lord. O Sovereign, guide us in the way we should go. May our hearts remain faithful, that we do not forsake your statutes. And behold, as he prayed, the Spirit of the Lord stirred, and a vision enveloped him, a luminous figure appearing amidst the shadows. A divine presence, radiant and fearsome, stood before him, holding a sword drawn in its hand. I am the commander of the army of the Lord, the figure proclaimed, its voice a clarion call that pierced the silence of the night. I have come to deliver the directives concerning the battles that lie ahead. Are you for us or for our adversaries? Joshua inquired, struck by the majesty of the being before him. Neither, the angel of the Lord replied, but as commander of the Lord's army I have now come. Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy. Joshua fell to his face, filled with holy reverence, for he recognized the weight of the encounter. The angel revealed to him strategies that would usher Israel into the promised lands, mapping the divine paths through trials and victories, assuring him that God's presence would continue to guide them. With renewed strength and understanding, Joshua arose, gripping tightly to the vision entrusted to him. He carried back the mandate, prepare the people, for as we have conquered Jericho, so shall we conquer the lands that await us. Surely he will fight for us. And thus, as dawn broke upon the horizon, illuminating a new day filled with promise, Joshua declared, the time has come. Our obedience must now pierce the darkness of the unknown. What God has revealed is but a fraction of his magnificent tapestry woven in purpose far beyond our human sight. Little did they know, the very battles ahead would be enveloped in deeper mysteries, as the Lord sought to refine their faith and unveil the greater unfolding of his sovereign design, a design entwined with each heart willing to trust the unseen and move forward into his eternal promise. In the days following the fall of Jericho, the cadence of victory reverberated throughout the camp of Israel. Yet the lessons learned from their triumph echoed deeper still. As the dust settled from the great battle, the hearts of the Israelites grew heavy with awareness of God's holiness and the strength of his covenant. Joshua, a faithful shepherd, sensed that the journey ahead was rich with both promise and peril, waiting to unveil the tapestry of God's greater design. Gathered once more in solemn assembly, Joshua stood before the hurting, hopeful multitude. O Israel, he proclaimed, his voice carrying the weight of divine purpose, what we have witnessed today is a testament not only to our might but to our obedience. Let us heed the words of the Lord, for a greater calling beckons us forth. With hearts united, they crafted a sacred covenant, invoking the remembrance of the miraculous act that had reshaped their destiny. Joshua instructed them, let each family take part in a rite of remembrance. An altar shall be built from the remnants of Jericho's walls, a memorial to honor all we have garnered through divine intervention. Such an altar would stand firm to remind future generations of their covenant with the Lord, where faith met the extraordinary. As the altar was constructed, the people worshipped the air thick with prayers and hymns, rising like incense to the heavens. In the shadows of their celebration, radiant whispers of the Lord poured forth, urging Joshua to prepare them still more. The land before you is vast, yet rooted in faith it is yours to possess. Joshua felt the stirring of divine urgency within his spirit. Gather your warriors, he commanded, and we shall move with prudence into the next conquest, for AI awaits us. With spirits ignited, the Israelites prepared themselves, understanding that their strength lay not in numbers or weapons, but in the fidelity of their hearts toward God. The sooner they forged ahead, the greater their anticipation grew. Yet, unbeknownst to them, lurking within their ranks remained a reminder of the past, a hidden sin, a breach in their collective integrity that would demand confrontation. As Joshua sought the counsel of spies to explore AI, he was met with words of confidence, yet a sense of dread brushed against the edges of his heart. "There are few," they reported, "and victory shall be ours." Emboldened, Joshua dispatched his men, but the battle that followed would unearth a divine test of their loyalty. Against their expectations, the Israelites braced for the clash, but were met with bitter defeat. More than precious lives were lost. The essence of their identity was threatened, and despair rippled through the camp as they fell before their enemy. In anguish, Joshua fell to his knees, a contorted prayer pouring from his lips. "Why, O Lord, have you brought us to this place only to stumble?" The silence hovered, heavy and foreboding, until the voice of the Lord pierced through the despair. "Arise, for Israel has sinned." Joshua 7 verse 10. Dumbfounded, Joshua realized the burden of guilt lay heavily on Achan, who had taken of the cursed spoil from Jericho, chaining them to defeat. Gathering the people under the weight of impending judgment, Joshua sought accountability. Each step of revelation led them to Achan, whose confession dripped with sorrow. "I have sinned against the Lord. I saw, I coveted, and I took." As he acknowledged his transgression, a collective gasp rippled. The sin that had spread like a shadow now demanded reckoning, and judgment followed swiftly as Achan and his possessions were cast out. As stones fell beneath the weight of Achan's dishonor, a shift rippled through the hearts of the faithful. God's holiness was once again reaffirmed. Purity was not merely a blessing but a covenant requirement. The restoration of Israel began as the Lord, in divine compassion, spoke again to Joshua. "Fear not, for I have turned my face toward you anew. Rise now, advance, for the victory over Ai is at hand." Joshua 8 verse 1. With renewed reverence and awaiting presence, Joshua prepared the army, not only with weapons but with repentance and understanding. The strategy revealed by the Lord bloomed with potential, an ambush set against Ai's unsuspecting defenses, symbolic of the celebration found in obedience. As the air crackled with divine anticipation, the Israelites retook their positions, and the call to arms rose as they charged into the fray. Victorious cries mingled with the glory of the Lord as they overcame Ai. Yet in the triumphant moment, Joshua did not forget the foundation of their success lay not solely in human effort, but in divine fidelity. In the aftermath, as the spoils were gathered, Joshua stood before the Ark of the Covenant and delivered once more a charge to the people. "As we have triumphed, let us be ever vigilant. Obedience secures his favor. Faith ensures our legacy. Let this be the path forged by our encounters with God." The echoes of confirmation reverberated through the hearts of every Israelite, transforming fear into fortitude, uncertainty into a profound trust in their faithful commander. Thus, as the light of grace poured through the channels of their worship, the Israelites emerged as vessels prepared to carry forth the fulfillment of God's sovereign plan, each battle not merely leading them to land but into deeper relationship with the one who called them his own. And so began a remarkable narrative, the journey of a people bound in covenant with God, forever marked by the whispers of his promises, where faith fortified the walls of their hearts against every enemy yet to come. The days ahead were filled with victories, teaching, and encounters, yet they stood firm in the lessons learned from the rubble of Jericho and the confrontation of Ai. God, ever faithful, was glorified, not only as the almighty fighter but as the loving Father beckoning his people into the fullness of his promise. With joy swelling in their spirits and gratitude etched into their hearts, they resolved faith would lead them home. Embolden your own heart with this profound legacy. Let the story of Joshua's Israel inspire you to trust and obey, for God is faithful through every high and low. In this sacred time, I invite you, dear friends, to engage with this narrative actively. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next powerful biblical stories. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm. Comment your spiritual reflections and share how this biblical account impacts your faith. And don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. This is the moment to help spread biblical truth together. Let us ignite the hearts of many in pursuit of His glory.